Today on our 2019 Jayco Greyhawk Motorhome, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Solera 12.5-foot slider slide topper in black. Those of us who like camping and RVing, it's a nice time to get away with the family to relax. What's going to set these apart from others is these are actually going to extend out 50 inches, which is 8 inches farther than some of the other ones out there. You can see the box side here sits kind of inside of our T-molding. This T-molding hangs out past it so that it'll seal against the RV. When this is all the way in, it has a seal, so it sits against there and it doesn't allow water or anything to get inside. However, if we didn't have our slide topper on, when we extend it out, it exposes this top side. A lot of campsites have trees in them. So what that does, it allows leaves, dirt, debris, water to pull up and sit up on top of this. If you don't clean it off every single time, what happens is it's going to create mold. Also, if you don't clean it off, this rubber strip here, if nothing goes inside of it, that rubber strip is going to push that as you close it. It's going to push bunch those leaves up against the side here. What happens when you slide it in, where's that mold going? It's going right inside of your RV. And you don't want that to happen. It's going to allow the dirt, debris, leaves, and water to run off the sides and not pull up on top of our box. Our topper is going to be constructed of a durable vinyl. So it's going to hold up to a wide range of weather conditions. All of our metal components are going to have a black powder coat finish, so they're going to resist any rust or corrosion. Our topper is going to last us a long, long time. With having our fabric extend past the edge of our box or past the edge of our T-molding at least 2.5 inches, you can see we're going to have an overhang. With that overhang, that gives us plenty of protection for the top of our box. When measuring to get the correct slide topper, what you want to do is you want to measure from the outside edge of your T-molding on your box to the opposite side outside of your T-molding. You want your fabric to extend at least 2.5 inches off each side. What's really nice about these slide toppers is the spring that's inside this tube. That's going to allow our top to roll up and extend by the push of a button. When we extend our box out, our top unrolls. When we pull our box back in, the spring inside keeps tension on this tube and it rolls our top back up. As far as the installation goes, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward installation. Probably get it done in about 40-45 minutes. However, I do recommend getting an extra set of hands to help get it installed. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let me show you how I installed it. So to start our installation, I recommend, it's always a good idea once you get your topper to have a second person and hold your top up. You want to make sure that your vinyl top is at least to this edge. The ideal, if you measure correctly and you order it right, it's actually going to stick out maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches past your box, which is what you want. So you can see how my vinyl is past the edge or past my T-molding here. That's about what you want. What you don't want is you don't want it sticking out like this, because it's going to make this bar that fits in here, it's not going to extend all the way into the bracket that mounts to the side of the RV. So now let's get all of our hardware out of the packaging. Now we're going to start installing it. First thing we're going to do is you're going to have 2 brackets that look like this. They're actually going to sit on your RV or your slide out just like that. Before we put them on, and this does not come in your kit, you're going to want to pick up some butyl tape. And what the butyl tape is, we're going to put it on the back here, and it's going to seal our screw holes so no water can get inside. And it's just a sealant tape that we're going to put on here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Butyl tape's going to look like this. And I'll start on my bottom one here. Go ahead and press it into place. I'll take a knife. We'll cut off the excess. With this bottom piece, what I like to do is peel off this, the little top there, and then we'll take our next piece and we're going to put it on, and I'm going to butt it right up against the other one. That way there's not a gap in there. Take that tape and we'll overlap the other piece. Again, push it into place. Trim off our excess. I'm going to peel off our tape. One thing I want to show you before we mount our brackets. Most of your newer RVs are going to have this track here. If you don't have this track on your RV, your kit's going to come with the track, and that will have to be mounted on the RV. Again, when you put the track up, you want to make sure you're putting butyl tape behind it. You want to make sure that you're sealing anything that you're going to be screwing into the walls of your RV. You want to make sure we're not getting any water that's going to seep in. So again, if you don't have this track, your kit's or your slide topper is going to come with the track. That will need to be mounted. It does come with the hardware. However, it does not come with the butyl tape. Now, because we already have our track, you're going to have two different bags. You're going to have one bag that's just going to have screws in it. The second bag is going to look like this. It's going to have two end caps and a couple other screws, and then these black square head screws. This is the kit we're going to use to get this installed. We're not going to need the other one. Those are just screws. So won't need these just yet. We're not going to use these just yet. These guys we won't use. And then these two. So this is going to be your hardware that's going to mount these plates to the side of the RV. So you're going to need a square head bit, and you're going to have 5 screws for each bracket. Next, we're going to mount our bracket on our sidewall. What's good about having the butyl tape on there is you can actually place it on the wall and pull it back off if you're not straight or you need to straighten it up, and it won't really stick to it. You won't have to worry about peeling extra off. What we're going to do is, this is your T-molding. This top edge right here that moves over into this corner, we want to get this edge up against it and over as far as we can get into the corner. Now, these have corner caps on them, so we can only get over so far, but we'll go as far as we can. Kind of set it in there like that. So I'm going to push this corner all the way up against this corner piece here, and then up as far as I can get to the top. And what we want to look at, this top edge with the top edge of our T-molding. I want to make sure it's level, because we're going to have a bar that slides in here. If it's not level, that bar is going to be hard to get in and out. What I like to do is put the center one in first, right in the center of the bracket. And once you get it straight, you can just go ahead and start putting them in. I like to do the bottom 2 corners and then the top 2. And if you take your knife, and you don't have to push on it, all you have to do is just run it right along that edge, and you can cut off that excess. Once you get one side in, you're going to do the same thing to the other side. On the ends of your roller, you're going to have a bracket like this. On the bottom of it, there's going to be a hole. You're going to have a bar like this, comes in your kit. One end's going to have a hole. Slide one end and line up the holes. You're going to have a cap that looks like this. It's going to have a little groove in it. You want that groove to face the hole that's in the bracket. Just like that. And then we'll slide these two together. Like that. And you're going to take your large Phillips head screw, it's a self-tapper, and we're going to screw that down in there. Now, we're only going to be doing one side at this time. It's much easier to put this on if you only have one side on. Once we get up there, then we can slide the other bar in. Now, it's going to make this much easier to install if you unroll this one turn. Like this. You want to make sure that where it rolls over your roller, face it towards your RV like this before you put it on. Make sure you don't put it on upside down. Now, before we put our topper in place, we need to prep our track. On the very end, if you take a pair of needle nose pliers, the corners, you want to bend the top corner up just a little bit, bottom corner down. What you're creating is essentially an opening so that when you slide your topper in, it doesn't catch on the corners and you don't take a chance of ripping it. And it doesn't have to be big, just enough so that corner doesn't catch. And then check your track, make sure you don't have anything stuck in there. Once you got all that, you're going to take some silicone spray, some kind of lubricant, and you're just going to spray a little bit inside the track here, wherever you're inserting it. It's going to make your topper slide in much easier. Soapy water works. These slide in with soapy water. You can slide it in there. It may dry a little bit, which it may catch some, but soapy water will work in a pinch if you need to. I like to use a silicone though, or lubricant. Now we're going to take this bead here on the end of our awning and we're going to slide it into our track. And you just want to guide it in there and make sure we're not going to get it caught. Now we're going to take this bar and we're going to slide it right inside our bracket. Just like that. And then we can just let it sit there. It's not going to unroll. There's actually pins that are put in here that we'll take out later on that keep the roller from rolling. So we're good just to let it sit like that as long as your rod is inside here. Now we can install our other side. Again, we're going to do the same thing over here that we did on the other side. You're going to match your holes. Only we're not going to put the screw in just yet. It's going to be kind of hard. We'll take this and rotate this up. Get our bar inside. As you can see, our hole's back here. It's going to be hard to get a screwdriver in back behind there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull these pins out. Our roller is going to roll tight, and then we're going to extend our awning just enough that we can get a screw or get our screw gun back in here to get that screw in to hold it in place. Once we get that in, then we can adjust it side to side, make sure it's centered on our edges. Now this next step is very, very important. When we pull this pin out, it's going to release that spring inside the roller. If this bar comes out of here at all, this is going to spin. If this spins, that means the spring is released inside, and it can kind of be a pain to get it back to factory. So again, make sure that stays in there. Once you release this bar should be pretty tight inside of here, so it shouldn't go anywhere. We'll rotate it like this, and you can see how it releases. On this back side, it holds in place. We'll rotate it, and we'll slide that out. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Now again, before we take out this last safety pin here, double check your bars, make sure your bars are inserted in your bracket and in the end, this end bracket here on the end of the roller. Once you're satisfied, spin it to where it releases that pin, and then we'll slide it out. And you can see how it puts tension on it then. We've pulled our safety pins out. Make sure you do that first, because if you start rolling this out, you're going to end up ripping your vinyl top. Now that we have that out, we're going to pull out our slide out just enough that we can get back and put that screw in that one side. Now we can come over and adjust our bar. If it's slid out at all, or if you have it out a little bit, just take a rubber mallet or something and knock it in to where it's flush with the outside edge here. Then we're going to do the same thing with our cap. Face this groove here with the hole. And then we'll put our self-tabbing screw in. So if you can see how the top is sitting on the top of my T-molding, I don't like that. What's going to happen is it's going to rub a hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinsert these pins, and it's very easy to do. If you look down inside these holes here, there's a hole inside on the roller. You're going to take that and you're going to stick it through the hole in the outside of our this bracket here, and it's going to go through the hole in the roller. So we'll spin it until we line up that hole, and then we'll just pop it back in place. And you can see now it's not going to spin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull that rod back out on that side because I already took the screw out. I'm going to slide this down enough to where I can rotate this bar one turn, and then we'll slide it back in. So you can see how I adjusted my arms. They're not so far back. So now we can release our pins. Again, we'll just spin it and you'll watch it drop. And then we'll just let that roll up. We'll check to make sure our top, you can see here, it's not sitting on top of our T-molding here. So we don't have to worry about it rubbing. So now with our tension on our roller, it's going to be hard to slide this back and forth. It's a good idea to maybe have somebody down below that can eyeball your bracket that's sticking, or your bar that's sticking out of the edge of the bracket on both sides, and then the edge of your vinyl with the edge of this. Again, it's going to stick out about an inch, inch and a half past it, but you want to make sure you're even. So in order to get this to slide through there pretty easy, take your roller and twist it, and it's going to take the tension off of it. All you have to do is tap it. And then you can slide it one way or the other. Once you're satisfied and you got it centered, next you're going to have 3 bolts for each side. These 2 self-tapping screws here, kind of the silver color, those are going to go through our bracket mounted on the side and through the bar. This little black self-tapping screw here, we're actually going to put that through the channel, and it's going to go through the bead in the top of the awning. So you're going to need a 5/16 socket and a 1/4 inch socket. Now we're going to take our larger self-tapping screw. We're going to go through these 2 holes right into the bar. And we'll take our small black screw, 1/4 inch socket. I actually have a magnetic one. If you don't have a magnetic one way to do this is take a paper towel, stick it over the top of your socket, push the bolt head down inside. So what we're going to do is from the edge of our vinyl top here, we're going to go in about an inch, and right on the top of our track, we're going to go down through the track into the bead on our top. Now we're going to repeat that same process on the other side. Now that we have our topper in place, we're going to go ahead and extend our box all the way out to make sure everything's working properly. Once we test everything out, it's working properly, we're ready to load up and hit the road. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the Solera 12.5-foot slider slide topper in black, part number LCV 000177334 on our 2019 Jayco Greyhawk Motorhome.